But I think when you guys get down to working, you're just going to kind of hack away and figure out what works for your particular game. And, if at the end of the day, you end up, mixing it together, some buttons in your view controller and some buttons in your views that get loaded up. If you have a game that works, that's fine. I think what Apple is concerned about in terms of their approving process, they're not going to go and look for like perfect MVC, design patterns. They're going, is this thing leaking memory like crazy? Are there erotic pictures in it? Things like that. They're really not like looking at your code that seriously. I think I read somewhere that there was like 40 guys approving apps, and there's like, which somebody worked out that they get to spend maybe like 5 to 10 minutes on each app that they approve. So, they're not they're not looking under the hood too much in terms of your code. But again, if it works, it works. And then your next project, you're going to figure out that, I get these design patterns a little bit more now that I've been working through it, and so on and so on. And naturally, I think you're going to figure out the more that you work, these higher level concepts of good application building. Whew, after that long little speech there, it feels like we should be wrapping things up, but well, actually, we probably should be. This tutorial has gone on an hour and a half now. I do want to bring in a few extra things, though, and it's not much. One of which is just want to make use of or set up a Boolean variable, and to do that, you write bool, and then you can. Here's an example of one that I was using in my game, game in progress. So basically, I was using this to just monitor whether or not you'd actually begun playing the game. Okay, and remember Boolean variables, they're just going to be they're just kind of like an on and off switch in Objective-C. It's the two possible values are yes and no, and I believe by default they're always set to no. And if you are coming from a Flash background or ActionScript or many other languages, Boolean values are sometimes true or false. So again, in this case, it's they're either yes or no. And let's just go ahead and set this up properly over in with our properties here. So we do need to write at property, and then this one you actually don't need to put a retain afterwards. Bool. Well, again, actually, let me just get used to doing this. So again, you just take this part and paste that over here. And actually, we just saw two kind of exceptions to the rules here. For these integer types, you don't actually have to put the star in front of it. And for an integer type 2, you don't actually have to declare it as a property down here either. But and then with the Boolean type, again, you don't have to put the star in front of it. But I'm pretty sure you do need to declare it down here. At least that's what I have in some of my notes from past stuff that I've done that does need to happen. And then I'm going to go back over here into the implementation file and then just write synthesize and game in progress. And again, good idea to just kind of keep things organized. Let's write bools. I probably had, I think, 4 or 5 variables that were things like this: game in progress, game paused, and again, probably when the view initially loads, you'd want to write game in progress equals no, and then as you start messing around with things, you eventually start writing, hey, game is in progress. Let's do things based on that. Let's go back over here to the header file, and let's look at a few other ones. We haven't actually seen a string yet. Let's write strings. So you could write ns string, and let's call this, how about image name. Okay. Oops. jump back over here to the implementation file. I did call that, yeah, okay, image name. And let's see how we could end up using that. So let's write image name equals, and then let's fill in here one of our image names. So we'll just take this, paste that into there. And now we should be able to come down and replace out this part with that image name. Let's see if it works. And okay, click on black and white and then go back to color. All right, sure enough, it did replace out that image correctly. And you know, that's a decent example of where you might use a variable like this, a string variable, because let's say at different points of your game you wanted to have a different image in there, but still using the same object. Okay, so remember our object here is my image, and so maybe you'd have something like this: if level equals 1, okay, then you use image name whatever, whereas if level equals 2, you use image name 2, like that. So although, you know, probably a better way of doing that wouldn't be to do the if statements there, but to actually just change out when you advance to level 2, then you go back and you change what this equals. That actually makes a lot more sense, because then it would save you from having to do an if statement every time you wanted to, you know, change the image or whatever. So just one of the many things you kind of figure out over time. Let's go back over here to the header file. Actually, you know what? I just wanted to be sure that I put in here one kind of standard button as an example for you guys. So back over here in Interface Builder, let's go find, where is, I've gotten used to actually just typing it in like that. UI button, there we go. Round rect button, throw that on stage, and let's hit up the inspector. Okay, you don't actually have to use a rounded rectangular button. You can go through, well, you can set this to custom and then put in an image right here. You can also pull down and they give you like a little standard detail disclosure, info light, this is info dark, and this is I guess add contact, but let's go with, well, let's just go with the standard button right now, because I don't have any images to throw in there at the moment. You can, let's see, it's right in here, press me. And they do give you quite a few options here for changing things around a bit. Shadow, let's see, what's that do again? I don't see it. Did you see a difference here? You can obviously change the font, line breaks if you've got more than one line in there. And this is getting cut off a little bit. User interaction, that's already set up by default, obviously, because if it's a button, most likely you're going to want to interact with it. And let's see, anything else in here we should talk about? Well, let's go ahead and get it set up over here in Xcode. So one more time, we shall write out IB outlet UI button, and we'll give this a nice little name like, hey, guess what, my button. Well, you know, actually, at this point, you might want to see how I've created 3 objects now that start with my like that, because Xcode editor is so great at kind of predictively filling out what you're about to type. It's not always a great idea to kind of go with the same prefix every time, so maybe you'd want to just put something in there like K button or level 1 button, I don't know, just something so that when it does start to